What is your name?
BuckO'Neil.
When were you born?
November 13th, 1911.
And where were you born?
Carabel, Florida.
Which is near?
Near Tallahassee, Florida.
And what did your parents do?
My father was a sawmiller, and he traveled all over the Florida, Georgia, and they would move with the timber.
You played a lot of baseball when you were young, or?
Yes, I played because he was on the ball club, on the sawmill team, and I could catch the ball. Always had good hands. I could catch the ball, so my father and the older men would like to throw the ball to me. I was part of the attraction because they want to see a kid catching the ball from these old men, and this was it.
How old were you when you did that?
I must have been maybe 10 years old.
Playing with full-grown men?
No, I wasn't playing.
Oh.
No, I was just catching, on the sideline. I was a bat boy, but on the sideline, they was warming up there to have me out there catching the ball, yeah.
All right. And you got older, you started playing on
we moved to Sarasota, Florida when I was 12 years old. And then they had a little grammar school, had a baseball team. And we played on that team. And all of the towns then had a semi-pro baseball team, and the semi-pros would practice on our school ground. So after school, we would practice, and when they would get off of work, they would practice, and so they would get their time up to watch us practice. This is where they saw me play, and I got a chance to play with the big guys later.
How did you get into professional baseball?
I played with a good semi-pro ball team in Miami, Florida. A guy named BuckO'Neil and Johnny Pierce ran that ball club, and I went down to play with them.
And that would be a Negro League, Major League?
No, that was semi-pro.
Minor?
That was semi-pro, but they had some guys on there now could have played with the Negro League teams, but the supply was greater than the demand. And it wasn't any place to play. I didn't get a chance to play until 1937. That's pro ball, and I played that with 37 with the Memphis Red Sox. Because I was over at Shreveport, Louisiana. I played with a team over there, the Shreveport Acme Giants, and we traveled all the Northwest, all the way into Canada. That team, but it was like a farm team for the Kansas City Monarchs, and that's where I got a chance. I met in 1937 season. We trained at Shreveport, the Monarchs trained at Shreveport. And so the Shreveport team trained right along with them, and Andy Cooper, who's the manager, and J.L. Wilkerson, who's the owner, they liked my play. And they said, well, we would like to see you play with us. So I did. 38, I went with the Monarchs.
How much money would you play for in those days?
Well, with me, when I went to the Monarchs, I got $100 a month and $1 a day for meal money. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but see, the $100 a month I was making more money than Miss Booker. Miss Booker, who had been my teacher at elementary school, Miss Booker actually was an outstanding teacher. But Miss Booker was making $80 a month at teaching. See, so I'm making $100 a month and that $1 a day meal money.
Now, did you play a schedule? I know you played a scheduled season, but
yeah.
Then you would barnstorm during the season or after, or?
And one thing about it is during the season we played a lot of local teams, especially in the Midwest. They had some good local baseball teams in the Midwest. This was the people had the teams, like the oil companies had teams, the packing houses had teams. They had good baseball teams, and we would play them, and while we would play them, we took most of the money. See, the Monarchs, so this was a good thing for us, but we would take a team like the Chicago American Giants would come to play Kansas City. We would play them in Kansas City, say Friday night, We were always off Saturday. And we would play Sunday, a doubleheader. Then Monday, maybe we would play in St. Joe, Missouri, which was 50 miles away. The next night, we would play in Omaha, which was 150 miles from St. Joe. Next would be Des Moines, which is 100 and some miles from Omaha. So this is, and we would play these ball games, and then we'd come right back, maybe Columbia, Missouri, and the next Friday, we opened up with another team, maybe the Birmingham Black Barons. So we traveled quite a bit.
Did you feel like it was onerous and terrible to be traveling, or were you just like, this is fun?
Oh man, it was fun. That got me out of Sarasota. That got me out of Sarasota.
You won the world championship in '42, right?
Yeah. We played the Homestead Grays. This is Josh Gibson, Buck Leonard, those guys. But we had some pretty good ball players for us too, but they were young ball players. They were younger ball players than these other ball players that we were playing against, and no one gave us a chance to beat them. But what they didn't know, we had Satchel Paige, we had a Hilton Smith, we had Booker McDaniel, we had some guys that could really pitch. We could really pitch, and we had some kids that could play.
If I bring up just a couple of names, could you like just what you think about that player?
Good enough.
Satchel Paige.
Satchel Paige, one of the greatest pitchers that I've ever seen in my life. Satchel Paige could throw the ball about 100 miles an hour, really, and pinpoint control. I've never seen anyone that could throw the ball that hard and had that type control. See, Satchel was left the Grove before he hurt his arm. Smokey Joe Williams. These guys could throw the ball. Walter Johnson, I saw him when I was a boy, could throw the ball hard, but no one had the control that a Satchel Paige had. Outstanding, outstanding. Satchel Paige never knocked a guy down in his life because he didn't have to. He could throw the ball. If he wanted to pitch inside, he could throw you a strike inside. If he wanted to throw your ball inside, he could throw your ball inside without hitting you. That's the same thing. It worked in and out, up and down. Outstanding. And it was, the motion was like this. And pew, he cut it with that great wrist. That great wrist. And another thing about Satchel Paige is as an individual, Satchel, things I know about Satchel, and no one else knew. We played in Ponce de Leon Park in Atlanta, and Satchel, we got to the hotel, we gonna play at Charleston, South Carolina the next day. That was a Sunday ball game. We're gonna play in Charleston. We get to Charleston, the rooms weren't ready. And we get there, when we get to Charleston, Satchel said, he called me Nancy. He said, Nancy, come go with me. I said, oh? He said, yeah, come go with me. I had an idea where he was going. We went, he had a friend there, had a boat in Charleston. We went down to the dock, and the man took us to Drum Island. Drum Island is where they used to brought the slaves into Drum Island. And we went there, and we stayed over there about 30 minutes. And then we came back to the port in Charlotte, and they had a place there where they auctioned off the slaves. Satchel and I stood there maybe 10 minutes, not saying a word to each other. And Satchel said, you know what, Nancy? I said, what? He said, look like I've been here before. I said, me too, Satchel. What he was actually alluding to was the fact that he knew, and I knew, that my great-grandfather, or my great-grandfather, his great-grandfather, great-grandmother, had been auctioned off on this block where we're standing. This was a Satchel Paige that nobody knew about. And he was so fluid, Doc. Actually, you know, they said about, you know, like the Satchel Paige image. Satchel walked like that, but his gait was so fluid, you thought he was just walking along. But if you're walking by him, you got to walk fast to keep up with Satchel. Because it was just like this. Huh? He was a beautiful man.
Why did he call you Nancy?
Well, now that's a story. We were playing in North Dakota, right off of an Indian reservation, and we playing ball that day, and Satchel met an Indian maiden there. Her name was Nancy. It was a pretty girl, and Satchel said, Nancy, how'd you like to come to Chicago? We're going to be in Chicago over the weekend. She said, I'd love it because I've got some parents, some relatives in Chicago. He said, okay, so this weekend, Saturday, you come. We didn't play on Saturday. Said, Saturday, we want you there in Chicago and spend the weekend with me. She said, okay. So we get there that Saturday, and I'm sitting in the restaurant. It's right off the lobby, and I can look at it. It had a big window, and I can look out and see the cars coming up. So the cab drove up, and here come Nancy. I said, Satchel, there's Nancy. So we get out, and we get Nancy, and Satchel took up the room, putting the stuff away and all this. And while they were up there talking, Satchel was engaged to Lahoma. That's the woman he married and had all the children. He's engaged to Lahoma, but Lahoma's in Kansas City. So while he and Nancy's upstairs, I'm sitting in the same place, drinking orange juice, and here comes a cab up again. Lahoma steps out the cab. I said, oh hell, you don't have him now. Anyway, I rushed out to the cab. I said, oh, come on, Lahoma, it's so good to see you. Come on, have a cup of coffee and stuff. Satchel is not here right now, but Satchel will be home pretty soon, be here pretty soon, and then give you a place to stay. All right, she said, that's fine. So she sat there and drank coffee, and we talked. And I called the bellman. I said, listen, go up there and tell Satchel that Lahoma is here. He said, okay. And I said, what you do is, my room is next to Satchel. What you do is put Nancy in the room next to me on the other side. He said, okay, I'll do that. So he was up there talking, and I told Satchel to get from out there. So Satchel went down the back in the hotel. But Lahoma's sitting here. And so what happened is when Satchel got through and went around the back and come around, the bellman came up and said, did that to me. I know he had changed her. And here comes Satchel coming in the front door. He's going down the back. He walked around the front door, coming nonchalant. And, well, oh, Lahoma, good to see you, baby. I'm so glad you surprised me. This is a pleasant surprise. I said, oh, Lord. And anyway, so he took Lahoma up to the room. And, well, we had dinner. We had a good time that night. And now we're going to bed. It's got to be around 12 o'clock. We go to bed, and Lahoma and Satchel go to bed, and I go to bed next door, and Nancy's still in that other room. So Satchel wanted to say something to Nancy, so by 2 o'clock, Satchel, Lahoma's asleep, Satchel thought. So Satchel goes out of his room and goes to Nancy's room. Nancy. Now, I hear Satchel's door open. I said, oh, Lord, that's Lahoma. So Lahoma came out the door, and Satchel was knocking on that door. Nancy's door said, Nancy. And I said, I walked out my door, I picked up, I said, hey, here I am, Satchel. He said, oh, Nancy, I was looking for you. And I've been Nancy ever since.
Cool Papa Bell.
Cool Papa Bell was quick, was extraordinarily quick, could fly, he could really run. I tell you how good he was and how quick he was. Jesse Owen, when he came back from Germany, he would follow us around. He would run. He would run the racehorses around the bases, and he would run against some of our baseball players. But he never would run against Cool. Because Cool was as quick as he was, or maybe quicker. So he never ran against him.
Could you tell the story about Cool Papa Bell, where they say he can hit the bed before the light turns off?
Cool and Satchel, they were playing with the Crawfords at the time. Great baseball club. And they got to the hotel, and Cool went upstairs. Cool and Satchel rooming together. Cool went upstairs, and he flipped the light switch, and the light didn't come on. Then a few seconds, the light did come on. He said, So Satchel came up, Satchel talking and all. And Satchel put on his pajamas on, he got ready, he got in the bed. And Cool put on his pajamas. He said, you know one thing, Roomy? He said, what, Cool? He said, I can turn off that light switch and get in bed before it gets dark. He said, oh, man, you got to be crazy. He said, I tell you what, I'll bet you your meal money. He said, all right, you got it. So anyway, Satchel in bed, and Cool got to the light, and Cool tapped the switch and jumped in bed, and there was a shortage in that light. And when he got into bed, then the room got dark. And so Satchel told that all of his life. But Satchel was saying Cool was so quick he could beat that light faster than light.
Oscar Charleston.
Oscar Charleston, a great center fielder, could play. And the old timers say, we would always say the closest thing to Oscar Charleston was Willie Mays. That's the closest thing to Oscar Charleston. Oscar could do all the things that Willie did, but a little better. Outstanding athlete.
Josh Gibson.
Josh Gibson, great power and a great hitter. Great hitter. I put him right along there with power with Ruth. But the difference was this, Ruth was a great hitter, but Ruth might strike out 100 times. See, Josh Gibson's gonna strike out maybe 25 times a year. That's all. Outstanding. And it's just a shame that he didn't get a chance to play Major League Baseball. At one time, he just might have been the best ball player in the world.
Now, you barnstormed against white major leaguers, correct?
Yeah, against the Dizzy Dean All-Stars, that's the Satchel Paige All-Stars, then the Satchel Paige All-Stars, and the Bobby Feller All-Stars. We played them from the East Coast to the West Coast. And this was, oh man, you've never seen anything like it, because during that era where you didn't have the television and it was just the radio, and people never got a chance to see a major league player. Because in Missouri, you got to go to St. Louis to see a player. You didn't get a chance to see it. Same thing in Illinois, you got to go to Chicago to see a major league. So these people didn't see major league baseball players. So this was a natural draw. And they wanted to see us play against them too. And I tell you what, one instance in Los Angeles, we playing the Bobby Feller All-Stars, and we get to the ballpark. I guess we playing a 3 o'clock ball game. We had the ballpark 1 o'clock and the stadium full. That's old Wrigley Field in Los Angeles. We get in the ballpark and the people are there. The George Raft and all of the sporting people from the movie, they were there, and we were playing. And in the first inning, Phil Rizzuta comes up to the bat, and Phil Rizzuta, Satchel get 2 strikes on him, and the 3rd strike, he dropped it down the 3rd baseline, and nobody's gonna throw him. Satchel picked up the ball and laughed at him. He was on first. All right, 2 other guys, King Kong Keller and another guy comes up. Satchel gets him out. Now the 4th place hitter, Ralph Connor. We hadn't seen Ralph Connor because Ralph Connor was back in Pittsburgh signing, making some extra money. So he didn't get to us until he got to Los Angeles. And when he came up, he hit the ball out over the right field fence, out on Avalon. And when he hit it out, Satchel looked and said, Nancy. I said, yeah. He said, who's he? I said, that's Ralph Connor. He said, who is he? I said, Ralph Connor just led the National League in home runs and RBIs. He said, yeah? I said, well, then I tell you what, let me know when he comes up again. I said, okay. So in our half of the inning, we get little Hank Thompson could hit the ball, hit fella very well. Hank gets on, another guy gets on, and our big wheel, Josh Gibson, get on. Josh Gibson hit him over that left field fence. We got 3 runs. I'm sitting there beside Satchel. He said, you know what, Nancy? I said, what? He said, that's enough. I said, what you mean? That's all Satchel's gonna need today. Anyway, we going about the 3rd innings. Here comes Connor. Connor gets up to the plate, and Satchel said, yeah, you hit me over that fence. And said, he said they named the place where you used to hit the balls in Pittsburgh. Said, but let me tell you something. Nobody hits Satchel like that. Said, now I'm gonna throw you some fastball. I'm gonna throw you one fastball, let her hide, boom, strike 1. I'm gonna throw you another fastball, but it's gonna be belt high, boom, strike 2. Now I'm gonna throw you a fastball. Listen, I'm not gonna throw, see, I got you now. I got you 2 strikes and no balls, right? In this position, in baseball, we kind of push you out of there. We kind of knock you back a little. Said, but I'm not gonna throw any smoke at your yoke. I'm gonna throw a pea at your knee. Boom, strike 3. And the side was out, and he walked off the field by me and Satchel, 6'5", looked like he's 7 feet tall. He said, you know what, Nancy? Nobody hit Satchel's fastball. I said, I believe you.
Now, you met Roy Campanella when he was just a kid, right?
Yeah, I met Roy Campanella in Baltimore, out at Old Bugle Field. We played him. At the month we'd gone east, and we were playing him. And this little brash kid was around there, and everybody was telling us how good he was. You know, he was Chester. And I said, you know what, Campy? I'm gonna get on base, and I'm gonna steal on the first pitch, and you're gonna throw that ball in the center field. He said, all right, Buck, go ahead and try it. I got on. First pitch, I'm off and running. And he threw a shot to center field. And I laughed, and he laughed. Okay. They come out to Kansas City, it's probably around July. And Campbell said, Buck, I think I've improved a little. Say, now, I'm going to put you on base this time, and I want you to steal second base on me. See what happens. I said, okay. He walked me 4 pitches. I'm on first, the first pitch, I'm gone. Listen, before I got halfway that ball to catch it, the second baseman got the ball. And all he's laughing, he said, I improved, didn't I? I said, you most certainly did.
Now you were in the you left the Monarchs and were drafted into the service in World War II, right?
Yeah, I went.
Can you tell me the story about your?
Yeah, I went
Jackie
into
Robinson?
service in 1943. We had just won in 1942. I finished the season in 1943, and drafted into service. I was a Navy CD, so I was in a stevedore battalion. So, and at this time, I'm in Subic Bay, and this was in 1945. Yeah, this was in 1945, and the executive officer called me to his office, said, John O'Neil, come to my office at once. I said, oh, hell, what did I do now? And so when I got to his office, he said, Branch Rickey just signed Jackie Robinson to an organized baseball contract. I said, oh, praise the Lord. Oh, man, I was elated. I said, give me that home, because we all black outfits, see. We had barracks all over the place. And I said, hear this. I woke everybody. I said, Branch Rickey just signed Jackie Robinson to a Montreal contract. And all they raised sand, they had parties there, and we were drinking this old, we were drinking beer, good beer, but we didn't have ice. So we were drinking hot beer. So we drank hot beer all night and celebrated Jackie Robinson.
Outstanding. But the downside to the signing of Jackie Robinson was that Negro League Baseball, you could kind of see that the days were numbered.
Yeah, well, and one thing, that was the death knell. That was the death knell when they signed Jackie, especially when they signed Jackie, and Jackie did so well. But he was intelligent enough to actually play it up to the hill, do the things that he had to do. And he was an excellent ball player. And another thing, Jackie, I wasn't there, but Hilda Smith was my roommate for 10 years. He told me when I came back, he said, you know what Jackie did for us? Said, we've been going, and I'd been going, we've been going to a filling station in Oklahoma for 20 years, and we'd never used the restroom. And because the restroom was for whites only. And say they got off the bus, and Jackie, we got gas at that filling station. And we got 50-gallon tank on one side, 50-gallon tank on the other. So Jackie got off the bus, and Jackie started at the restroom. The man got the hose in the tank. He said, hey, boy, you know you can't go to that restroom. He said, oh? He said, yeah, you can't go to that restroom. Jackie said, take the hose out the tank. And see, that's 100 gallons of gas. He ain't gonna sell 100 gallons of gas at one time until we got back there again. So he said, you boys can go to the restroom, but don't stay long. But what Jackie did, now, Jackie showed us this, that we didn't have to take a lot of things that we were taking. So then we didn't get gas in the station, we couldn't use the restroom. We didn't play in any town that they didn't have some kind of hotel accommodation for us, restaurant accommodation for us, because the people were glad for us to come to town because we were making money for the city.
You signed after, as your playing career wound down, you started signing players, right? Too. You managed the Monarchs.
Yeah.
And you just tell some of the players that you signed.
Yeah, I started managing the Monarchs in 1948, and in 1950, Cool Papa Bell ran a team for us. We called it the Little Monarchs. It was just like a minor league team for us. And they played all the Northwest, played all out here. That's what they did, the Little Monarchs. And they had a good ball club. And Cool Papa saw a young man with an infielder. His name was Ernie Banks. And when he came that fall, he came to Kansas City and said, we saw a guy that saw a kid that I thought could play on this ball club. Said, yeah? Said, yes. And Tom Baird was on the team. And so he sent me down to Dallas to sign him. So I signed Ernie Banks to a contract.
So after your playing and managing career, you became a scout, and then you were the first African American major league coach, correct?
Yeah, yes, I was, and that was in 1962. And Jim Enright, who was the writer, he's a sports writer, and he said, Buck, I know you all elated, you're glad to be here. I said, yeah, to be the first black to coach in the major leagues. I said, yes, I'm glad I'm here. That's the sweet part about it, but the bitter part about it is I knew Rube Foster. I knew Smokey Joe Williams. I knew Bully Joe Rogan. I knew Candy Jim Taylor. I knew Frank Duncan. I knew guys that should have had this job 50 years ago. So that makes it a little bittersweet for me. So I can't go with my chest out because the guys before me should have been here.
You're still active in baseball today. What do you do?
I scout the American League for the Royals. And actually, they got people to scout the American League, but I think they just want me around, really. They want me at the ballpark and things like that. And I was, as a scout, I was pretty fortunate because, my man Ernie Banks is in the Hall of Fame. Lou Brock is in the Hall of Fame. I signed Lou Brock out of Southern University in Baton Rouge. He's in the Hall of Fame. I got two guys playing now that I signed that going to make the Hall of Fame eventually. And those two guys are Joe Carter and Lee Arthur Smith.
Now you're involved with the Negro League Museum. Maybe you could just tell us a little bit about that.
I was one of the fellows that started the Negro League Baseball Museum, but we thought that they should know this history. We had some kids that they came to the museum, and they were all black kids from a school. And I asked them a question. I said, who was the guy that integrated modern day Major League Baseball? They said Babe Ruth. Yeah, because they didn't know. They knew about Babe Ruth. They had heard about Babe Ruth. They could go in the library to school and read something about Babe Ruth. But they couldn't go in the library and read anything about a Satchel Paige or Josh Gibson or things like that. So this is why the museum, we want the museum for that reason. We got a lot of things in Cooperstown that they're going to send out to the museum for us. And it's going to be quite a thing.
When you sleep at night, do you ever still have a dream that you're back playing again?
Well, I used to. I don't anymore. See, I dream about going to the ballpark, seeing a guy that was better than any ball player I'd ever seen in my life. This is why I'm still in scouting, because I think one day I just might see a better ball player than anybody that I've ever seen. And I've seen some of the greatest. I'll tell you an incident that happened to me. I was in Sarasota. I was outside, peeping through the crack, and somebody hit that ball during spring training. The Yankees was down to play the Giants. And somebody hit that ball over that fence, and I'd never heard that sound before. That sound from the bat. I've heard a lot of sound. And I went back and I went up, there's an oak tree back of the ballpark. I went up in the tree, I wanted to see this guy. Here was a big barrel chest guy with skinny bottom, was hitting that ball. That was Ruth. I heard that sound. Now, I don't hear the sound again. We are in Washington, D.C., Griffith Stadium. We are in, the Grays were taking batting practice, and I'm in the clubhouse with nothing but a jock on. And I heard this sound again. Bow! I rushed out to the field in the dugout, and I saw this guy, Josh Gibson, hitting the ball. That's the next time I heard that sound. I didn't hear it again until I'm scouting for the Cubs, but I'm scouting the American League for the Cubs. And the Royals just brought up a young ball player. And I was coming down, walking down the stand, walking down, I'm gonna see him get batting practice. And I heard this sound again. I said, oh man, and I rushed down. I rushed down, not only stopped there, I went on the field, around the keys. That was Bo Jackson hitting the ball. I heard that sound one more time. So what I'm thinking, I'm still listening for that sound again. And one day, I think I might hear it.